December 15th is rolling around. That means that decisions for early applicants will be released soon. And that's either going to be great news where you get accepted, not so great news if you get rejected, and some okay news if you get waitlisted. Let's start with the positive. If you get accepted from your early decision school, that means more likely than not you're going to that school. So if you get into Columbia early decision, you're coming to Columbia next fall. And that's great. Congratulations. I'll be here. But if you don't get into your school, that's probably the most complicated scenario. So let me go with what happens if you get waitlisted, and then I'll talk about different scenarios with what happens, how to demystify this entire situation with if you get rejected, what should we do next, what should the next logical steps be. So first and foremost, if you are waitlisted, I wouldn't stress too much. If you applied early decision to a school and got waitlisted, it's not the most stressful thing in the world because now you're going to be considered with the regular decision applicants. So that means that you're going to get reevaluated again and you're not really rejected from the school. That just means you didn't get in early. And that's not a bad factor considering that the early applicants are typically the strongest applicants for that school, whether it be whatever makes them a strong applicant for it, such as athletics, because athletic recruits typically apply early to the school they're recruit to. So a number of them will get into that school. So the next step here is those students who are rejected. And it sucks. You're going to be demoralized. At least I was when I got rejected from a school. I was like crushed. So the thing you have to take into consideration here is it's not the end of the world. It's one school, two schools, three schools, maybe if you applied early decision with some early action schools and you get rejected from them all. You should take some peace in the fact that, hey, now I've got some useful information I can use to plan my regular cycle. And what I mean by planning your regular cycle is I'm assuming that if you take a very ambitious approach to early admissions and you applied early decision to a top tier school like Penn or Columbia, and then did early action at Chicago and MIT. Now, if you get rejected from these schools, these are all extremely competitive schools. So when you apply next round, I wouldn't shy away from applying to a few other reach schools like your Harvard, Yale, Princeton's. I wouldn't shy away from it because I've heard instances of students getting rejected early from other schools and then getting into even more highly ranked schools. So I would not be depressed by this fact, but I would be aware that maybe your application isn't as strong as you thought it was. So I definitely tone down and make sure you have some good target schools like your Rice Universities, your Washington University, St. Louis, some middle tier schools which are great schools but aren't ranked as highly. And I'd also back it up with a few safeties. Just because it's a safety school doesn't mean it's a bad school. You just want to make sure it's a school you'll be happy at and can do what you want to major in. So I wouldn't go to a liberal arts school if you wanted to be a hardcore engineer, vice versa. So that's the thing you need to be aware of. So you need to make your decisions wisely if you're rejected. So my takeaway message here would be that don't stress about things. Only be smart about the decisions you take from this point forward. If you make the right decisions, nothing in the early cycle can come back to hurt you. Actually, the early cycle is only beneficial to you in a sense because it guides you and tells you what schools to apply to next in a sense. So don't stress. Just figure out the smart decision, and as always, if you have any questions, ask me. I'm willing to answer them.